Hey guys, Ed here, bringing you part 7 of the Archer series. Before I get into it, I must say that this part will be more vulgar. If you guys are okay with it, I have nothing to say but to get into it. Fearless. Where we last left off. After finding out from Miyuki that Inko went to visit the Mato temple and search for her son, Izuku went to confront the facts with his maid to confirm either or not it was true. And to his surprise, not only it was true, but Seiichi also left a letter before his passing, explaining the reason for not telling him. With the knowledge in his hands, he got in contact with Inko. Inko would say, "My son? You mean my son Izuku's alive?" Archer would say, "Yes and no, but more on that later. Tell me, is your husband home?" Inko would say, "No, he's not. He's been working until late at night, or sometimes he just leaves at his workplace. So tonight is going to be the same thing." Archer would say, "I see. I must ask, is your daughter been feeling weird lately? You know, tired in the mornings, odd behaviors?" Inko would say, "Now that you mention it, yes, but how do you know?" Archer would say, "Ma'am, I know everything and everyone, including where your husband is right now. And let me tell you, he is not where you think he is." Inko would say, "What do you mean?" Archer would say, "You have two choices here, and depending on your answer, I'll act accordingly. 1. I'll tell you all you need to know, and I'll personally put a hand in this for your best interest. But you aren't allowed to bring our conversation up to anybody, nor involve heroes or the police. 2. You don't want nothing to do with me, because I'm a killer for hire. I can't be trusted, and the info on Izuku Midoriya are false, because you know for a fact that he is dead." Inko was conflicted on the two choices. In the end, she chose the first option, and Archer told Inko the important parts, which includes her son's status, what Hisashi and how he abandoned him, Hisashi cheating on her, and mentioning that Miyuki's on drugs. Inko holding in her voice, she would say, "What do you mean Miyuki's on drugs?" Archer would say, "Don't ask how, and try to act normal. I don't know if he's keeping an eye on both of you. All I can say is that she's on drugs, but she's not aware of it. And if you look at her tongue, you'll notice that it's dark purplish. And I suspect that your husband is behind it." Inko would say, "Now that he mentioned it, it is darker, but Hisashi said that's due to her quirk." Archer would say, "Don't believe that man. And don't act on your own, because that might make him speed up the process of whatever he's trying to do. All you need to do is stay by your daughter's side and help with the small things. Act like nothing's happening, and if possible, avoid food made by him. We don't know if he's putting something in them, which is a higher possibility than not." Inko would say, "I'll try, but what about Izuku? Miyuki told me that someone in her class said that he died, and it's because of us." Archer would say, "He's alive and well. That place where you visited 5 years ago, an old man said that there was no such thing as a missing child, correct?" Inko would say, "Yes, the elder was telling me that in case that he saw him, he would let me know." Archer would say, "And that is an example of someone who lied. but did it for the right cause. Because if someone abandoned their own child, and then came looking for such a child, it doesn't take an expert to know that something is up. So in that case, tell your daughter to get close to such classmate, and find a way to invite him over, because he knows where your son is. Inko would say, "Will do. If you know where he is, could you apologize to him on my behalf?" Archer would say, "For what reason, may I ask?" Inko would say, "Well, it's partially my fault that he was abandoned. I should have seen the signs. But instead, I gave Hisashi the chance to get rid of him." Archer would say, "I may not know how he feels about it, but I feel like he has forgiven you, because he had had a chance at a new life. That said, if you were to go back to that temple, you won't find him there. All I can say is wait until he comes to you. That said, I must go. I have other arrangements. Again, bite your tongue and act like nothing is happening, or you and your daughter might be in danger. I will call for some updates, or when the time is right, for me to make an appearance." Archer out. Before Inko could say anything, the phone call ended. We cut over to Izuku in his study, feeling bad on what he's going to do to his mother and sister, as a single tear went down his cheek. But he shook his head and got ready, because Archer had to visit UA. Before heading out, Yuki gave a softball to Izuku, which was the same softball from UA he threw the day before. Then he left. Meanwhile, with the UA teachers and some staff members, they were all called to principal's office after Archer left a note saying that he'll be there, until someone suggested that they should go in the conference room, and probably involved some heroes. As time flew by, all teachers and staff members, including other pro heroes such as Night-Eye, Endeavor, and Mirko, they were about to enter the conference room, right behind Principal Nezu. But as soon as they entered, sitting in Nezu's seat, waiting for their arrival, was none other than the infamous Archer, smoking a cigarette. Archer would say, "What took the lot of you so damn long? If I knew I was going to wait for hours, I would have prepared some food and shared it with you." The tension grew by the second, and the silence grew louder. Archer would say, "But where are my manners? Why don't you take a seat?" Vlad would say, "Give us one good reason on why we shouldn't just throw you in Tartarus." Archer calmly squashed the cigarette in the ashtray, and then he manifested a blade, which flew past Vlad, making his cheek bleed. Archer would say, "Like I said, take a seat, because that moron wasted one of your warning shots. This is official clock tower business." All the teachers and pros took their seats after Nezu himself said to do so, while Nezu took the seat directly opposite from Izuku. Nezu would say, "So, Archer, what brings Clock Tower here in UA?" As most, if not all, the teachers looked at Nezu in confusion. Archer, lighting another cigarette, he would say, "It seems that these so-called pros know nothing about Clock Tower, except for yourself, Nezu, and Recovery Girl over there. What a shame, really." Nezu would say, "I'm sorry, but you can't blame them for not knowing an organization that has been very secretive since before Quirk started to manifest." I did read the note, and again, I do ask, why would Clock Tower have an interest in one of the children here in UA? Archer would say, simple, Nezu. The child that is here in UA is under some sort of drug influence. And from my investigation, apparently she's not even aware of it. Therefore, I would like for the lot of you to turn away from this case and keep your noses where they belong. Have I made myself clear? Aizawa would say, what if we don't? Archer would say, simple really. I'll get rid of you personally. And, before you ask, yes, I have a license to kill, and there is no prison that can hold me for more than a few hours. Not even Tartarus. And Darrow would say, so, I take it that the only way to get rid of you is to kill you. Archer clapping his hands sarcastically, he would say, very well. Someone seems to have joined the conversation. Give a prize to the walking candle himself for the big brain power to realize that. And Darrow would say, watch it, kid. You may get yourself hurt if you continue. Archer would say, nah, I believe that none of you can come close to hurting me or neutralizing me. But I digress. Instead, all I'm asking is that you heroes don't get involved with my case. Do that, I do my thing, you do yours. Nezu would say, going back to the student in question, so it's safe to assume that you know for a fact that she's on drugs? May I ask how you know that information? Archer would say, I may not be a doctor, but even someone like me can tell if it's drugs or not. And usually those aware of its usage tend to hide the holes in places that are hard to have access to. Women have more an advantage than males, considering that they could easily hide the needle marks under their breasts. Am I right, Recovery Girl? Recovery Girl would say, yes, but I must ask, does that mean that you inspected her body? Archer would say, of course I have. I need to make sure whether or not she was cooperating with the person behind it. Mirko would say, wait, does that mean you violated a young woman without her consent? Archer would say, yeah, so what? I got my confirmation that she's a victim. And not just that, also possible victim of rape. Recovery Girl was a bit shocked, but Mirko was pissed. She jumped over the table and attacking Archer, but without realizing that it was pointless. Archer dislocated and crushed her ankle as he pushed her back the way she came, putting everybody except Nezu and Recovery Girl on guard. Archer would say, Nezu, that's why you shouldn't have kids join the meeting, because this happens and they will throw a fit, consequently needing to be punished. Mirko would say, what did you just call me, you son of a bitch? Archer would say, I called you a child, but you made me realize I was wrong, because you are a brainless rabbit playing hero. And I say, just get laid, have your kids already, and put your furry ass where it belongs. Just like the rabbit you are. Because you have no talent as a hero. And your spot on the top 10 is wasted. Mirko, pissed, she would say, that's it, you're going down, punk. But before Mirko could even start attacking, Archer manifested weapon and sliced clean through Mirko's arm. And when she backed up towards the wall, he summoned other weapons and piercing her legs, pinning her to the wall. Archer would say, did you say something, rabbit? because I couldn't hear you. Mirko would say, "Go to hell." Archer would say, "With pleasure." Archer sent another blade towards her head, but the blade barely grazed her cheek, making a cut into it as she passed out due to fear. Archer would say, "Does anyone want to say their piece and meet with their maker?" Before the pros could speak their mind, Nezu intervened. Nezu would say, "I believe that will be enough. Recover, girl, be a dear, and take her to your office. As for your request, Archer, I, Principal of UA, will not try to interfere with your case. And I'll tell my staff members to do the same." Archer would say, "Very well, Nezu. Does that mean if they disobey your request, I'm free to kill them?" Nezu would say, "Indeed it does. Although I may not agree on how Clock Tower operates, I must agree that sacrificing one person for the benefit of thousands is better than sacrificing the plenty for the few." Archer would say, "Does that include All Might as well?" Nezu looked at All Might and then back at Archer. Nezu would say, "Considering that All Might is known for doing things rash and not thinking things through, yes, including All Might." Archer, getting up from the chair, he would say, "Well, it's a pleasure doing business with you, Nezu. But I forgot to mention, if you see anyone else other than the Midoriya girl having a dark tongue, let me know." Nezu would say, "So wait, the drug she's using is Trigger? That would explain a lot." Archer would say, "Well, it seems that there's no further explanation needed. Again, I remind you, Nezu, to teach these buffoons that there is a bigger fish that might be out to get them if they don't behave. And before I go, I believe this belongs to you." That said, Archer out. Archer left the scene as if he was a ghost, as the object in question was a softball that had a writing on it, which read, "Return to UA, thank you." Shocking everyone there until Aizawa realized it was the same ball that Izuku threw. Once Archer got to a certain distance away, he put on an earpiece, which connected him to some bugs he planted in the conference room. And then he started to eavesdrop on the conversation of the pro heroes in UA, as he was grinning ear to ear, listening as the pros argued, with what to do having Archer on the scene. To be continued. That's it for today's video. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment down below. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing for more. Turn on the bell notification to be updated so you never miss a video. That said, peace out.